So I promised all of you that we'd open it up for questions at this point. So thank you, Travis. That's excellent and educational for all of us. So we'll open up for questions. Who would like to start? All right, in the middle there.
You mentioned earlier about how you plan to hedge against the diversifiable risk of investing in similar assets, but it seems to me that most of the assets would be highly correlated to each other, meaning that if one were to go down, the others would too. And I was just wondering if you could go into more detail about how you plan to mitigate.
All right. This is why Carrie Callahan is here. Yeah, come on, Carrie. Let me treat that for a sec. Come on up, Carrie. The alternative energy field is indeed highly correlated, but there are differentiations that one can make between what was referred to in Carrie's slide by critical path, the suppliers, the picks and shovels of the industry, if you will, and the actual resource companies. So as the markets develop and expand, we expect that the correlation between their movements month to month or year to year will expand as well, and there will be greater differentiation. But, Carrie, would you like to speak any more on that particular issue?
Yeah, I guess.
Go ahead.
Sure. Okay. Part of the way we can mitigate against that correlation is because some of the companies are not pure play, so that they have other businesses, and we also keep an eye on valuation. So if the solar stocks have a heck of a run, and we do believe in the vision that Travis just laid out, and we think that's a great place to be, but it's not going to be a straight line. Particularly stock prices don't go in a straight line. We know that from experience. So if things get frothy, and we choose to be in the suppliers because we think it's safer, and then that volatility passes and there's a correction, today was not a great day for solar stocks, we can cycle around. So that's our intention, and we think that being geographically diverse probably helps a little bit too. But you're right, I mean, a lot of these markets are correlated, but again, that valuation is probably more how we try to mitigate the risk.
It's a good question. It's hard to believe you're only a senior in college. Well done. Anyone else?
Paul.
I can't see that. Sorry. Okay. Yes.
Travis, everything I've always seen and read recently has been associated with nuclear as the only answer. I think Sam Bodman, the Secretary of Energy, was in town a couple of months ago, and he spoke about biomass and solar and a lot of different things, but then when really pushed against how are we going to replace the real need, the real fossil fuel plants, came up with nuclear, and a lot I've seen is smaller percentages, very small percentages, is the replacement comes from wind and solar. How do you reconcile what seems to be, or maybe I'm looking at the wrong documents, but it seems to be not considered a mainstream energy source in the next 10, 15 years with what you're predicting?
Yeah, it is a good question. There's a lot of talk about nuclear as a large part of the solution. Without getting into the politics of it, there are clearly at today's energy prices, there's a tremendous amount of work being done, and part of trying to get your head around this whole industry is having a pretty good sense about the movements in the policy environment. As Carrie mentioned, today was not a good day for solar stocks. Had everything to do with a rumor of changes in the policy program for PV in Spain. Hard to keep up with a lot of that stuff. So you really do need to understand the policy environment, and to the degree that you've been hearing in the popular press about nuclear and the necessity of nuclear is somewhat motivated by the fact that decisions are being made to allocate resource dollars and to extend federal guarantees for both project finance and waste management for these projects. So some of this is coordinated marketing. The To frame it, you don't need nuclear to solve the energy problems that we have. What you need to do is you need to stop putting new fossil fuel generation assets into service, and you need to only put things that are not polluting. You don't need nuclear, but it would certainly add to the bulk. But one of the counterpoints to nuclear is that to build a nuclear power plant in the United States, given how few have been built since, and none started since the late 70s, how little technical talent there is, and the requirements for permitting and all of the other things that you need to do to be able to get one sited and built, even if it's an extension of an existing plant, will take 10 to 12 years. And given the speed of change in the economics of the renewable energies, 10 to 12 years from now, things are going to look fundamentally different. Nuclear power plants are coming in at about 2 to 3 times the current cost estimates, so they're not as cheap as people think they are. And renewables getting cheaper at rapid rates, some of them dropping a few percent a year in cost, and solar dropping 6 to 7% a year in cost. So my belief is that people are going to be making decisions over the next 10 to 12 years, at the end of which the choice is going to be obvious that just from pure economics, you're going to want to go with a number of the technologies that were outlined in the thing today, in the presentation today. So I would just caution you to keep your time frame straight and to try to understand, what the real economic argument is, but the answer to your initial question, can these technologies make an impact, have a meaningful contribution to the energy system without the contribution of nuclear? The answer is absolutely.
Other questions? In the back.
Marilyn.